Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be working on the front end of the car. We're going to try and get the K-member in. We're going to try and get the front control arms in. The hardest part is going to be aligning this K-member up to the back. I need to do some research as to how to do that a little bit because I don't know everything, obviously. And I need to change out of these clothes because these are not clothes that I'm going to work on my car in. But that's kind of the plan for this. Front suspension. The rear end is done in the last video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. There was a lot of information dumping in that one. I thought it was pretty good. One thing I don't have that I should have bought already is the steering rack. I already have the accessory drive kind of situated for the Coyote. I haven't bought it yet, but I already talked to Power by the Hour of how to do it. One thing I want to note before I start working on the front of the car, the reason that I did the whole rear end before I started doing the front and the Coyote and everything, it's really light. Like, really freaking light up here right now. The front end would have been dangerous to have put the Coyote in with the rear end so light. It would have just ended up tipping forward. Right now it has a tendency to do the opposite. That's why I did the rear end first, to act as a ballast for this. Kind of makes some sense, right? I thought about something before I did something. So according to the instructions, the first thing you have to do is put this brace on. I'm not exactly sure why they do it in this order, but I'm just going to throw it on. You put bolt through the washer, and then they say to have 2 washers in these spacers. I don't know if I'm actually going to need the spacers or not. I can also add more, but I just threw them on there so I don't lose anything. And then if I need more washers to space this down a little bit more, I can throw them on at a later date. One thing that happened to me is I lost this little hardware setup. So this is the way that the factory K-member gets bolted in. You have these captured nuts up top here. It slides in, and then you have the 2 bolts that go up through. I don't know what happened to the one for this side. This came from right here, so I do have one of them. I'm just gonna put this back on the side that it came off of. I may make my own version of this, just with whatever hardware I plan on using. Probably just saw a time lapse of me cutting up some metal. I decided to do it now. I also had to cut down the nuts in order to let it fit inside of that slot. I don't have my welder with me at my shop, so I'm gonna go to my work office and we're gonna tack these in place. But I did go ahead and make sure that it lined up how I wanted and that it fit underneath. I don't know if I'm gonna use these permanently, but I just want to continue. And I don't really see a reason to not just use this setup. On the other side, I'll probably continue with this because this one and the bolts that came out of it look good. The other side, I'm not sure. The actual front K-member mount bolts, I'm going to have to replace. The driver side ones are so rusty that they started losing metal where I need it. So those will be replaced, but this I think I'm gonna just reuse. Now that this is done and tacked up a little bit, see how she fits down in there. Dope. All right, that's freaking cool. I made a thing. I'll put the factory one back on this side, and then we can go ahead and get this thing just kind of bolted up in place. Not permanently secured yet, because we had to do plumb bobby things and align things and all that jazz. That's cool. It's Saturday, right before Mother's Day. So I can't go get just like new hardware. There's a guy who I know who has an OEM one probably, but he's out of the country. So that doesn't really help me much right now, but that's a good option. And I'll probably leave it forever because I don't think it's really gonna matter all that much. So yeah, cool. Now let's get you in here. We went ahead and put the K-member inside of the car. I only have one of the front K-member bolts on each side. I don't think it's gonna matter for aligning it. I need to get new hardware on here because the hardware that came in the car or that I took out of the car was just starting to rust, mainly on this side because of our old rust issue. I took the 2 that I got off of this side, just put one in. Think it's gonna be fine for just aligning it. I'll add one, take out the other one and then change it, whatever. New hardware is coming for that. Doesn't matter. The next thing we have to do is align this. If we come down here, you can see I have these plumb bobs here. There is your little hole that you're supposed to put that through in order to align it. Same thing on the opposite side here, on the passenger side. And then if we come to the rear, this is how we are aligning the rear of it. or really just marking where it's at. The goal is you put a dot underneath here at the back. You do the same thing at the front, and then you're going to be measuring this distance along the driver's side and on the passenger side and making sure that those are correct, or that they are even on the driver and passenger. And then in this case, you'll be going from the driver rear to the passenger front, and from the passenger rear to the driver front, and making sure that those distances catty corner from each other are the same. But that is the general idea. Now that we have the K-member where it should be, I was going to show you guys me installing these control arms here that I have, but I kind of ran into a problem, which is they don't send out new hardware for this either. They send out one of the bolts, which is supposed to be on the front side of it, because they want some low profile bolt. You're supposed to reuse the rear bolt, which I just don't have. So I guess I will be going and buying new hardware for it because I didn't plan on running any of the old hardware. I think I might just prep them real quick by putting the grease on these and then just have this one holding it at least in place. I went ahead and I threw the control arm just in place. I'm going to be getting these rearward bolts replaced. I'm just going to go to a local hardware store, and then I will also be replacing the nut on each one. So for now, I'm just going to kind of leave them here. But the upper control arm mount here is supposed to be for race cars, is what they say. And then this is supposed to be for your street driven vehicle. You decide, do what you want to do. Read the instructions. You can do that too after you're done watching me. This is just to give you an idea. I will throw the other control arm onto the passenger side of the car, just using this front bolt. I'll get some new hardware for myself sometime this week and then torque these down. It's supposed to be torqued down to 148 foot-pounds. This right here has to go in from the front, according to Maximum Motorsports, just for clearance, I guess. You aren't supposed to tighten it from here. You're supposed to tighten the nut onto it. Probably the same thing back here, or at least I'd recommend it, just generally speaking. Oh yeah, they also have this washer that comes with the K-member that you're supposed to put in here. Something that I messed up on is I probably should have painted this engine bay one color a while ago. I know I already have the K-member inside of the car and it's kind of in the way, but I'll be able to mask that off and tape it the way I need to. So I'm not going to show the whole process or like a step-by-step of how to do this because I don't really know, but I'll throw up a time lapse of me sanding this and then I'm going to paint it afterwards. So all done with my quick paint job on here. Again, do not do what I did. All I did was just went over this with a quick sander, and then I used some paint prep and like tried to get the dust off, and then I started spraying stuff. But don't do it that way. Did it come out good enough for me? Yeah. So one of the reasons that I did it now is because I know I'm going to start putting the engine in the car, and I don't know when I'm going to have it at a point that almost everything is out of the car again. I'm not going for a show car. That's not what this car is. So I went with a spray paint. This spray paint is the Steelite coating. I think you aren't even supposed to put it on this way. I don't really know, but it's lasted on other things that I've done. We're going to go with it. I think the color's cool for what I want. The reason that I like this paint so much for my application
is it's in an aerosol can. So I can just go over sections that I plan on cutting out, or that I end up cutting out, or I scratch with me modifying everything the way I am. One example of that is I have the Scott Rod inner fender liners that I plan on putting in one day, I think. I don't even know, but if I do end up doing them, I'll be cutting and hacking and welding and all that crap. So it will need some touch-up. I think that this is a good alternative to a professional paint job for my application. This is my application, not yours. Don't do it this way. The other thing I did was I painted the fender wells. The other side, the paint stops about here because I stopped having paint. Started to run out. But who cares? Because it's going to be behind a fender. But these little sections probably won't. You'll be able to see it. So yeah, that's what I did. Overkill. But don't do it like this. Bolts. So I have the new control arm here. I went and got me new nuts. Nice. And a new rear control arm bolt, lower control arm bolt. I went to my local hardware place and I got some grade 10.9, whatever, some metric crap. The K-member comes with the one that you need for the front. I also got the steering rack bolts and stuff like that, but we aren't there yet. We're here. So I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall these with the new hardware and torque them down. Got these bolted in on both sides. I think that means the next step for me is going to be building these guys. These will look real good. Just right up in there. I have the coilover kit for these to convert these into coilovers, right? So we gotta build these and get the springs on and everything. That way we can get it in the car. I would do the caster camber plates first because I can't get these in without the caster camber plates. But I just painted this, as you guys saw. So I don't want to scratch up my paint that isn't done hardening. Now that we're back to our regular, now that we're back to our regularly scheduled programming, bolts.